All right. Well, it's weird to be back, second or third video doing the introduction, but here I am. It's Aaron and Brandon, of course. And today uh, we kind of thought of an idea together to use, I guess, general news as a means of
Content.
facilitating mental health conversations.
Yep.
And we were talking about football, and there's a player on the Philadelphia Eagles, an offensive lineman. His name is Brandon Brooks, who missed a game against the Seahawks on Sunday on the 24th of November due to intense anxiety. Normally, you hear about players missing games due to, something's wrong with their foot, their neck or their abdominal, something like that. But this is a full-on mental illness that caused him to miss a game, and it kind of highlights how profound mental illness can be, not just in the lives of an everyday human being, but also a regular everyday human being that people know and watch on Sundays in the sporting environment. So I was just wondering, what are your thoughts on uh, on that development?
I think it's a great article because it really does expand on the fact that, like you said, it's not just an average everyday Joe that has mental illness, and it's people of higher stature. It affects them too, and to this degree, which is pretty serious because it caused them to miss the game. Um, I think it highlights the fact that nobody's immune to mental illness. It can be very debilitating for a lot of people, um, like such as just Brandon Brooks on the Philadelphia Eagles. Um, I think that it's great that it says in the article he's not ashamed, because
Yes.
because a lot of people out there are ashamed. They don't want to be a burden to anybody, and they're afraid to talk about it. But there's a whole article here about Brandon Brooks and his anxiety, and I think it's great that he's not ashamed of it, because it is something very real, and it's something people deal with every day. And
Yeah.
and like I said, it doesn't have to be your regular everyday average person. It could be people who play sports. It could be people in the movies. It could be somebody anywhere. But you never know what battle somebody's fighting unless they say something. Which is great that he did this article.
Yeah. And what I thought was great about the article, not only everything that you just touched on, but was
Hmm.
also the kind of description of what his life is like on a day-to-day basis, just dealing, with anxiety. It was only the somatic symptoms, just the physical symptoms, but
Right.
that description alone was very profound in
Yep.
that the mental illness results in a physical illness
Right.
and or physical symptoms. It was just very descriptive, and the fact that every morning, every single morning, he's vomiting. you
Hmm.
know he wakes up every day, as his under control day is, I vomit every morning, and eventually it comes under control. And
Right.
in this situation, he couldn't. Well, he went to the stadium, and usually when it gets to the stadium, it gets under control. Maybe just a game day situation, I'm not sure. He didn't really exactly be specific about it. It was just kind of like a general thing. But usually when it gets to the stadium, it quells, it calms down. But it didn't. He got on the field, tried his first drive, and couldn't get the vomiting under control, and had to just come out of the game. So the
Right.
anxiety so intense that he's having these physical reactions that
Hmm.
prevent him from just doing his job, doing what he loves to do. And to me, that's just, if you're going and you're trying to imagine what it's like to have that level of anxiety and feel the way that he's feeling, just try to picture that in a first person sense, and be in his body literally. And that's very, very intense.
Yeah. Yep. Yep, and I think that it also shows the magnitude of how intense a mental illness can be. I mean, if his anxiety is affecting him so much to the point where he's vomiting, every day in the morning, I mean, that to me stands out the most, because I know there's people out there who are like, oh, I deal with depression and anxiety, and some people are like, oh, just shake it off, you'll be fine. And it's like, it doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. You can't just snap out of it like that. It's just something that hits you hard. And like I said, it can be debilitating to anybody who has it. It's just great that this article is out there because somebody of his stature is dealing with a serious mental illness. And, it's kind of sad that, more people don't take notice to, your average person who has mental illness, and, it focuses on somebody who's famous. But I think that, somebody who's a football player, I could not imagine the anxiety that was going through him when he showed up at the stadium. And, I mean, they play in front of tens of thousands of people,
Yeah,
plus all the people on TV watching.
yeah.
You know,
The
I
internet now too. Yeah.
right, yeah. I actually just turned down a Christmas party that I was invited to, just because I didn't want to be around a lot of people. So I totally understand it. Like, the social anxiety is like off the charts. Um, so I just think there needs to be more articles of this kind of stuff. I think that'll help people pay more attention to it, especially if it's a sports figure. Obviously football gets a lot of attention, and obviously this article is probably getting quite a bit of attention as well, which is great because that kind of spreads the word about mental illness even more. And I think that once more people are aware of it and how intense it can be, it'll help reduce the stigma that is on mental illness.
Yeah, absolutely. I second that completely. And also, they mentioned in the article that one of his teammates, Lane Johnson, who's one of the best offensive linemen probably in the past, 5 to 8 years in the NFL, also deals with anxiety as well. So,
Right.
it's the full spectrum of talent, uh, you know, regardless, is still dealing with mental health issues. So, but I thought just that pure descriptive aspect of this was just kind of like more profound than anything else because, like you said, it's like people, like you said, so, oh, why don't you shake it off? Why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? And it's not
Yeah.
exactly feasible, and they try to perceive it through their own experiences.
Right.
And people have to actually be able to perceive through the vision or through the experience of the person who's actually going through something, and people telling stories in this descriptive kind of way kind of brings it to life in a way that otherwise would not happen before, and hopefully, like you said, more people are as descriptive as he is
Right.
with this. But I thought this was a great, a tremendous article, tremendous
Yeah.
article. Yeah.
I agree. I agree. I think that the more people we educate with mental illness, the better too, because then we can better handle it on a massive scale because of the amount of people. There's so many people out there who aren't being treated for it and they have it, and they're not getting treatment for any number of reasons. And I don't like that mental illness is looked down upon because people don't understand it. They look down upon it in ignorance. I think not
Mhm.
everyone, but I know a lot of people do because they're like, oh, depression equals lazy or anxiety means this or that. And it's like, oh, I get anxiety and I can work, but it's like when you're getting anxiety like this guy on the Eagles, there's no way you can work. I mean, if you're sitting
No.
there with yeah, if you're sitting there with,
Kept vomit on you, you know?
yeah, yeah, exactly. And I think it's great that he's being as descriptive and open about his anxiety as he is because it gives people who would, look at it and not think much of it. But the point is that you can't really understand it unless you're going through it. So the more descriptive people are about it, it can help kind of pinpoint how bad it can really be. I mean,
Yeah.
that's why there's people on disability from mental illness. I myself, I am, because I have schizoaffective disorder, schizoaffective bipolar disorder. But there's days where my anxiety has been horrible. I mean, I've gone to immediate care because of panic attacks. I thought I was having a heart attack, but I had a panic attack really bad one day, and it was just a time, like, even right now my counselor doesn't think I should be at work, but I am. you know I have to force myself to literally go in there every night, even no matter how horrible I feel. It's just that mental health isn't looked at the same way as physical health. Like, it's more feasible to say, if you're really sick, then people believe you because they can see the ailments, like you're vomiting or the coughing or the sneezing. But because mental illness is kind of like an invisible sickness and it doesn't always manifest itself, um, people have a hard time understanding it.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely. It's like I just imagined someone trying to exist, in an office environment with this kind of anxiety and having to go back and forth to the bathroom with this level of anxiety, vomiting and whatnot. But it's
right.
intense. But I think this is a tremendous, tremendous, description and hopefully, like you said, more people like this come forward. But I
Yeah.
think this is a tremendous uh, space to kind of conclude today's article or
Yes.
conversation.
Yes.
And
Yep.
I thought this was a very very substantive piece to talk about. And I hope more people are reading this and trying to and directly empathize and connect with
Yep.
these kinds of stories. So,
Same here. Same here. I agree with you.
but yeah. So till next time. I enjoyed myself. I hope Brandon did, and hopefully you enjoyed our conversation. And can't wait to talk again.
Sounds good. We'll see you guys soon.